First question I have is why do you choose 3D instead of 2D?
I choose 3D because I'm more interested into 3D than 2D. Because like with 3D, it's like it's so. Because to me, it's like so fascinating how like you can turn like a block, like a cube, and just like you just manipulate it however you want. In it's like 3D shape, and you just manipulate it however you want, like a character or anything. And that's why I choose 3D over 2D.
Okay.
I like 3D better more than 2D because it's because I like how much detail you can actually put into it, and the fact that you can put into it to like any part of the model is very interesting to me.
I also like it because it's a new thing to experiment, and I think we can use it in. I like 3D, and I was confused about what to do about. Do I need to do 2D or 3D? But I decided to do 3D after that because I liked it and I wanted to know more about it because just we have them for the 3D, so I thought I should know more about 3D.
Yeah. Me personally, it's just because I'm better at 3D than 2D. My drawing skills aren't the best, so I'll get better results if I do 3D, and yeah, that's why I chose it.
I want to say one more thing as well, because like for me with 2D, it's like for me because I'm not very good at drawing and stuff like that. And what I found when I compared my Project 2 to Project 3, I find that I worked better with Project 3, and especially when I done like 3D modeling, I think I am very better at 3D modeling than 2D.
I like 3D more because of the detail you can add into the projects. I just think it's better than 2D, to be honest. And application. I like the application more.
And you can just move your object in and out, and then you can make the object a small, large, depending what you want. And in 2D, you have to like frame to frame, you have to make it, and then you have to like export and then stuffs like that. And it's quite hard to draw, I think. Those who don't like to draw and feel hard for the drawing.
Okay. For my next question, I would like to ask why is it better to use for 3D designing?
Yeah.
Some people has used Blender, I've heard. So why do you guys use it for that reason? Why do you use character designing for that reason?
I do character designing in Blender because of the sculpt tools you can use, because with Maya it has such a small amount of sculpt tools and it's a lot harder to get like precise details, and if you accidentally do something wrong in a sculpt, it'll be quite hard to actually change it whilst using the sculpt tool to try and fix it. And with Blender it has a lot more, it has a large array of sculpt tools. I think it has like twice as more sculpting tools than Maya. And you can remesh it and retopologize very easily with in Blender as well.
Yeah, for me it's the same reason as Ivan. Although I'm not using Blender, it is 10 times easier to create characters with Blender, just because of the tools the software gives you, and also how Blender handles polygons. It's way easier to sculpt inside Blender than it is Maya. And also Maya crashes a lot when you have too many polygons, so it's better when it comes to character modeling. It's way better in Blender than Maya.
For me, when I have seen like what Blender can do, and then I've seen what, of course, Maya can do, I would personally say that, you know, with Blender being free, and you don't have to pay anything, I would definitely say Blender is a more better, and of course it's more powerful than Maya, and especially like with making characters, it's much more easier.
But for me, I think Maya is hard, but Maya is a standard for industry. Industries use the software. Like big companies use the software. Blender is free, and big companies don't use the Blender software.
Yeah, Maya's got less tools Blender's got more variety of tools that you can use to make it easier to make the characters.
And
Okay. For the third question, I would like to ask, from everyone's perspective, have you guys collected any ideas and any ideas, or I wouldn't say tricks, something that helped you, that maybe broaden your views on how to make your characters? Maybe some ideas that someone has told you. Maybe.
like when it comes to like modeling, I think the easiest you can do is like blocking it out first, and then individually make cuts, and then with if you have reference images, just move each individual like big line to fit the image, and if it's at a slight angle, try and make it look like what you're modeling is also at the same angle as it is.
Yeah, I agree. And like, you want to start with the head first, and you want to get like the basic shape of the head and the neck, and then you want to block out the rest of the body. It just helps with measurements and making sure that things actually look realistic, because obviously having super long arms or having super long legs isn't really going to look good and stuff like that. That's why you block it out first before you go into the little details, such as like actually shaping the legs, stuff like that.
For my fourth question, I would like to ask for the people who does they're doing a 3D diorama. Why do you choose Maya? Why is Maya your main option instead of using Blender?
Maya, because I learned Maya some skills in college, and Blender I never used, so I thought Maya is okay for me. I thought, and I've learned some skills of Maya, how to use the tools. That's why.
I felt like Maya was the most recent application that I've used, and I feel like I'm more experienced using it, so I felt just the easier choice for me.
Okay, and for the fifth question, what do you think of this focus group? Have this helped you in any way?
Yeah, I think.
In what way has it helped you?
To understand how to communicate with people and how to share their ideas, I think.
I think this is really helpful with communicating between clients and like developers in the future. It can be really helpful.
And we can share our ideas with each other.
You can share ideas with your client. They can give like their response, and then you can continue to like move it if you were to do this in the future.
Yeah. I would agree with Aaron on that one as well.
Who must do the questions next? Aiton?
I don't mind. So for my first question, what style could you suggest fit to make a weapon look like was in a fantasy? Like anything that comes to mind. Like anything.
Wait, what comes to mind when I think of fantasy?
Like
So
a
what-
fantasy weapon.
Yeah.
Probably like magical versions of medieval weapons, so like swords with like, I don't know, lasers coming out of it. Just really, I think fantasy is like based off like the medieval thing, but with magic on it. And so, you know, swords, shields, armor, stuff like that. I don't really think of like guns and like stuff like that when I hear fantasy.
Okay. So my next.
Whoa, everyone.
I think that for fantasy weapons you could add maybe a little bit of steampunk maybe for them, and you can also add like a stone weapon maybe, you know, just maybe has a different shade of colours maybe. And I think the last idea I might think of for weapons is maybe have a natural, like a tree weapon. I don't know, that's just out random.
Yeah, when it comes to fantasy weapons, I kind of think about like swords, crossbows, regular bows, and maybe like hammers. because hammers, I don't know, they just kind of suits.
Okay. My second question: how would you fit in a sci-fi weapon into a fantasy genre?
I can't lie, I think you don't really need to fit into a fantasy genre. I think sci-fi is kind of fantasy, so it fits into fantasy like altogether, to be honest, because fantasy is a really broad term, so it really determines on what style you want to go with. But I think you don't really need to. I think sci-fi is like a sub style inside of fantasy, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with the guy here that fantasy, its own genre, has a large array of subgenres that work well with each other. But if you're like talking about like fantasy, like the basic trope of fantasy, like it's like explored field of like all nature, and you wanted to like add a sci-fi type weapon into it, like a plasma gun or something, it could fit, possibly, but you can also try and maybe make a chest, and like if you're gonna add like a landscape, make it look like it was not meant to be there and it just appeared there.
How would you describe your immediate reaction upon hearing?
I would like to agree with them too. For I don't know how to explain this. Okay, for weapons, I would say that you don't have to make them look like a weapon in like the modern day. You can have them like in a weird way. Maybe it could have a design of a fantasy. Okay, maybe a wand, but it's more of a free burst. Like it could be just make your imagination roll in it. It could be anything. Like literally, it doesn't have to look like a full-on assault rifle or a sniper. But it could look a little different, I would say.
Yeah. So my third question is, what do you think of fantasy genre and the sci-fi genre, and how can you merge them together?
For me, the answer is basically the same thing as I said, like, for the last question. I think they are kind of like merged together. I think fantasy is like the father, and like sci-fi is like a son. They're all part of the same family, so yeah.
I think about fantasy is like imagination world is a magical world. Like you can do anything in that. Like you can use laser guns and it can transform into sword, gun, and hammers. Anything it can transform. Sci-fi is like a technological way, like technologies, like laser guns. That use technologies in sci-fi.
Like I said with the previous question and about the landscape and making the sci-fi things like look out of place, is I think you can technically do that, and also maybe like add something that looks like more futuristic, because with the usual fantasy trope, which is like more medieval, more like it's in the past, whilst sci-fi is more like futuristic, with like androids, cybernetic robots or something, or like guns. You could also like include maybe like a robotic cybernetic hand, maybe, or arm.
So my fourth question: should I animate the weapon, and explain how you would animate them?
If I was you, wait, what do you want to do for like animation if you was to do that?
So like how I would animate them is like maybe have probably like doing some sort of weapon skill,
Do you want a gun like shooting or something?
or like something like that, like
Yeah.
some sort of effect.
Because if I was you, I would like have the gun like planted down somewhere, and then have it just randomly start shooting like at the wall or something. And because I think that having a character do like a huge flip, you know, those things you see in movies, that'll take a long time. And so I feel like just having the gun vibrate while it's, you know, there's laser beams coming out, so it would be a good animation.
I would like to add to that. I think maybe not. You could maybe just make a turntable of the weapon and make the gun maybe to make it more fantasy. Add some like lights around it. Maybe just some animate some dust around it. You know, could just or just make the weapon itself be a little bit animated with some patterns going around it. And yeah, that's an idea I think you should do. If you would like to animate it, I think you shouldn't go overboard. But adding a small detail could just change it, the whole fantasy thing. You could make different things, yeah.
I say maybe you can animate the gun, like the sci-fi guns, by making like it glow like bright, then like it starts to dim, and then goes brighter again. Like it's still like working, but it's just been left there.
That's what I was thinking as well. When I was thinking animate, I think the weapons, that's the main idea. The guns, maybe if someone's using it, it will glow up or something. Or when you're shooting, it's vibrating.
Ninja, have you got anything?
No.
So for my fifth question, how should I work with my time management?
The time
If I
management.
was to work with what I am doing, like how can I manage the flow of my time of working with what I'd be doing? Like how?
I think you should get a production schedule so you know what time to do certain stuff and when you're supposed to finish it.
And get a timer so that you can know that how much time you're spending in it. Like if you're researching, if you're writing, explaining something, you can see, you can use a timer and see how much time you're spending in it. I think.
I think
And you should
it's.
also, like production schedule, you should also include. It means you have to make so that you can understand which day you're going to do what.
I think it would be best to focus more on the actual diorama itself than the actual writing, because the writing you can just upload it to OneDrive and then also do it at home, whilst with the diorama, if you were to upload it and you forgot to upload the most recent version of it, it would take a while. It could take a while to do what you did previously if you forgot to upload it. And so I would say focus on it more and make sure you regular upload it to OneDrive so you may be able to download it and just work on it at home.
But for Sway document, we don't need to upload it in OneDrive. We
No,
can just,
but for production in Maya.
yeah, we need.
You talk.
Okay, for time management, I would also advise you to have a main objective. So like, what's your main idea? Are you trying to make the weapon, or are you making the effects of it? So what's your main idea? Are you trying to have the weapon? Making them physically. So and then after you can add a small amount of effects or after effects that could also make the weapon shine a little bit brighter.
Yeah, I agree with everyone, and I think you should do make sure you actually complete the diorama first before you start putting in like the details, because it's better that you have the whole thing completed and missing out some small details than having like a gun with like a maximum light, everything, but the diorama's not finished. And so if I was you, I would focus on like finishing the diorama, and then after that you can keep on adding in small details until, you know, the time finishes.
Thank you.
It's recording. Do you want to go?
I already spoke for myself.
Huh?
I already spoke first. By the time
No, your questions.
oh, are we pausing or are we just going straight?
You can go straight. You can go straight.
Go straight,
It'll
just
be a whole 30-minute break.
wait, just talk.
Yes, yes, of course. Yes.
Already 20 minutes for 2 people.
Yeah. My main idea is about the Home Alone scene, and in my scene I wanted to add snow. What do you guys think is the easiest way to add snow into the?
I would say first like make a ground, then add like this add like a snow effect maybe by using like noise, because with a standard surface you can implement noise, then change it to make it look bumpy, like snow has been built up, and then you could add an invisible cube in the sky, which which you can add a particle emitter, which can like emit particles. So you can just change it and make it like smaller and like how fast you want it to be and how long you want it to be there for, to make it look like it's some snow.
I haven't really worked with like snow and stuff like that, but I did create like a fog, and I think you should add like a fog with the smoke, a fog with the fog with the snow, because it'll just add like a mist in the air, and I think it'll look a lot better than just like snow dropping down and stuff like that.
I would like to continue that as well and add in something else. I think adding mist on top of it would also help, but it can also kind of miss some details inside your diorama, because maybe the person can't actually see your details, what you're trying to add. I'd also like to say that I'm not exactly sure, but I can say that you can try to understand the particle effects, so you can add in your own little details as well.
I did wanted to work on particles, but I've never personally done particles.
Ninja?
For me, I think you can make a background and then color it in white, I think, and then you can use that, the particles that Aaron told about, you can use it, and then you can do it. Like you can just show that the snow is falling.
Basically, I wanted to add other festive items outside. I've got a few in mind, like snowmen, lights. Is there anything else you think I could add to improve?
Snowman, I think you can if you
You
want.
just said that. You just said that.
Maybe
You
you
can
want
add a Christmas tree, I think, maybe if you want.
maybe go with like something similar to a Christmas tree, but like it doesn't have lights. Similar is because Christmas trees are just spruce trees. So like maybe look at spruce trees and see how they are actually look like, and maybe try and create it in Maya.
To add on with that Christmas tree idea, maybe you can also add in around maybe, considering you're making a massive house, right?
Yeah.
So you could try have like decorations around the house, like what people do. But I would also have an idea to downscale some ideas, so you can maybe have like a candy cane or two around the house, but maybe you could downscale it and put it on top of the tree, maybe, or around it, for an idea.
Yeah, I think you should carry on with the Christmas theme, because it works well with smoke. But I keep saying smoke, I don't know. It works well with snow, and I feel like you should get reindeers as well, and you should get like a reference image from Google, and you can like model it and put it on the walls and stuff like that.
I was thinking maybe like get like Santa Claus and you can use sleigh with the reindeers and put it maybe like on top of like the roof, like on the house.
Yeah. I also wanted to add characters into my scene, but I want to know which one's the best application and why it would be the best.
I would say Blender for characters, but I don't think it would be best. But if you're going to go for like a still frame, you can go for like a still frame of the characters not moving, lights just only staying in a specific color, but the snow continues to fall. That would actually be quite good, and you can also export Blender models into Maya just by exporting them as a FBX file. And since Maya works with FBX files, you can just import it like that.
I would also like to add in on something on there as well. I think you should, if the still images makes it, is it faster to do, like to model and like export it, to complete it? So let's just say his main objective is to make the house and the decorations. Would that also add time on? So would he have
So
to,
if he was to make it like a still frame, he can like with still frames you can have like a color pattern for the colors of the lights, because you know with like Christmas lights how they flicker constantly to different colors.
Yeah.
If they were in a still frame, they can just stay as one color with the glow of that color, which will make it easier and it'll be quite helpful.
okay.
What advice could you give me on making sure I'm on time with submissions or production?
You should see the deadlines, and you should make a production schedule, and you should work on it by the production schedule, and just check the deadlines and work on it.
I would say try and get rough estimations for each model you want to create, so that when you start, so when you look at the time, and then when you look at the time before you begin it, and then after you finished it, you can try and get a rough estimation for how long it's going to take to finish the entire scene. And also, if you keep on taking screenshots of your production whilst doing that, that's also completing two things at once. You'll complete your production and the production one.
Me personally, I would like do as much as possible on Sway. That way you can post your things on Teams and submit your work. I know you can still like
Work on it.
yeah, you can still work on it after. So if you haven't finished your work completely but you're close, I would use Sway so you can do it like at a later date, but your
And you
work
can
is still
update it also.
submitted.
Day by day you can update it. So if the deadline is not meet, if a deadline is completed, but still you can work on it, you can update it. You can cut, you can change, you can do anything in it.
I would say something is that whenever I be working on something, and so for example like for today, I was working on something on my project, but I didn't have time to finish it. I come on my off days, that we're doing our classes and stuff like that, and I come into college and
I also come to the college. I come in this class, or I come I go to the library and do my work.
the only time that I'll probably come in is only if I have trouble of accessing the software that I want to use. But if it's like written work, then I do that.
Ninja.
Yes, my turn now. My first question is, which theme do you prefer for 3D and why?
Which, sorry?
Which theme?
Oh, theme.
Yep.
Me personally, I don't really have a preference. I just like, I mean, it's your choice, innit?
Yeah.
But for themes, I guess themes what I like: fantasy, steampunk, history, stuff like that.
For my themes, I just really stick with fantasy and sci-fi, since they have a lot of references, because a lot of like good inspirations are mainly fantasy and or sci-fi.
I would say modern, because all of the stuff that you see nowadays, buildings and stuff, you can easily create one of them on the application and diorama.
For me, for fantasy buildings, I do like fantasy buildings and some like sci-fi buildings, and especially when it comes to like architect and stuff like that. And games. They are good, especially themes like fantasy is my go-to because I do play a lot of fantasy like games, stuff like that.
My second question is, what do you think about my 3D idea? My 3D diorama
What's your
idea. Like my idea is about to make a modern city with like a diorama city with column trees. But I'm going to include some more things.
I say that idea is actually pretty good because since we live in the modern day, you can just search up like a place that you want to have as a reference, go into like Google Maps, and then you can get like a good view at all the buildings, and then you can just analyze how buildings needs to look like and just take notes. So when you actually start to make it, you already have like a reference and notes on how buildings look like. So it'll be quite it'll be a lot faster to actually make it.
Yeah, for me, I think it's good that he chose modern. It's you have a lot of references for modern, and it's just the easiest right now since obviously it's all around you, and you have to do less work on research in modern because your whole life is modern in it. So you have memories and stuff like that inside your head from your whole life. So it's easier to do things that are inside the modern thingy. But yeah, I think your idea is good.
I think the idea is good because you have a lot of options for modern and stuff like that. Especially today, there's a lot of like modern like buildings and everything. There's a lot of options.
Yeah, I think having a reference of I think I think your idea is good because you have a lot of reference on what you can do and what you want to do. You don't have to stick with the building. You can do pretty much whatever you want and have any idea what you need to do.
What you're doing, like when you're doing modern, it can be very detailed because there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. You can try to replicate certain stuff. You can do pretty much everything. So.
My third question is, what is 3D diorama in your opinion?
In my opinion, 3D diorama is just a real or made up place is that you wanted to create in a software.
Yeah, I think a diorama is just a 3D representation of a scene or a place. I don't think it needs to be like made inside a computer or software. I think you can make it in like Legos or type of diorama and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's just it's just a representation of a scene in 3D.
Such 3D model of anything that you want to create.
Anything else you gonna say? Do you like my idea of my project and why?
It's the same question.
It's the same question as the second question you just said.
It's a good idea. It's going to be very detailed.
Yeah,
good idea.
it's a good idea.
And my fifth question is, tell me what do you think about 3D diorama?
Okay, but Aaron.
Okay, so
This is a throwing.
with my idea being a 3D character, what type of for styles of like hair you want to go with? If you were to create like hair, how would you make it? Like, would you make it really realistic or like simplistic and smooth?
It actually really depends on what your theme is. Are you going for a fancy theme or are you going for a realistic or modern theme? So it really depends. So depending on what's your theme so far.
I don't really have a theme at the moment. I'm just, it's just
Okay,
that
so-
I'm not going with realistic.
Okay, so for fantasy, you could make hair can really and truly hair can be anything pretty much. I've seen could be the worst to the best. It really depends on what you want to do, but try not to go overboard and make very single thin strands of hair to make it real realistic.
Yeah.
But you could just make it somewhat wild a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I would for fantasy, I would make up like bright colored hair, stuff like that, because you rarely ever see, especially in sci-fi, you rarely ever see normal colored hair like black, brown, blondes, stuff like that. And I would make it kind of like a low poly, because it would just be harder for the software to what's it called, to handle, to handle and render. So I think it's better if you like just choose low poly, because
I think it's good to do it because in fantasy we can do anything. Like it's a magical world, so it can do anything in that. We can color our character in any color. We can give any style. We can give him any type of things if we want. So we can.
Yeah, especially the fantasy theme. I'd go with any type of hairstyle, to be honest. It can be made up, but especially in bright colours or light colours, to make it stand out. Especially fantasy.
For me, for fantasy, it's just like you can just make a character like in anything and just make it look very stand out and pretty, from like intimidating, powerful, and especially like the hair. You can do whatever sort of hair you can put there, but it's really long, not so long hair, or very stylish hair.
So, if you were to like add like a sort of like accessories is for a character, what type of accessories would you think would fit?
I'll say like a type of accessories.
Yeah, like type of accessories, like it could be any accessories.
Maybe like on the character, maybe like rings, some sort of like jewelry or
Bracelet, something.
yeah.
I think you can give him armors if you want, and shields if you want, and you can use weapons, include him in weapons, guns, swords, anything.
And for another question, if I should I make a my character low poly or like a high poly model, and can you please explain why?
I think it depends on you. If you want to make it like that,
Yeah,
But
like
what do you think he should do?
high poly, I think it will make it look better. I think it will be like a little bit realistic and it will look nice. I think so.
I personally think low poly would be better, especially because high poly takes a lot longer, and sometimes it can be like really hard to do stuff high poly, and I think low poly allows for good details, and it's also like a style that looks good. And yeah, it's quicker, and I think high poly is for like really experienced people. So yeah.
I would agree. You might
Yeah, I also agree because I think high poly is very time consuming, even though it's more detailed. But low poly is easier to do, more time, get more time out of it.
And for my final question, if I were to go with like a bartender style clothing, how what would you think I should do, and what style should I make that?
To be honest, it really depends on your theme, as I said before. But you could go for anything. You could go for very simple a suit or maybe a I want a suit for like a bartender. You could also then add for the details. You could add like maybe a little, I don't know, napkin maybe on the breast pocket. You could also, for another design, for fantasy, depending, you can have like a maybe rough person, maybe with some scars you can add in for the details as well, and have like some rings around their hands or different types, or maybe a damaged eye maybe, could be.
I was thinking for like the bartend, like clothing, like for the shirt. Also like maybe like for the colors of like buttons, I was like maybe like gold like buttons or something, and it kind of showed like.
I can say. Basically, right? Have you watched the movie about space? The Passengers with what is his name? I don't know. Anyways, there was a butler there, but the butler is a bartender that serves drinks, and he was a robot. And the idea of having robots that serve drinks is a very popular idea for all science fiction movies. So if you would like to, you could add a robot that was wearing an attire of a stereotypical 1940s bartender, which would be like a black suit and tie maybe, or like if it's a woman or a man or a woman, it doesn't matter, having the maid outfits or something like that, but they're robots. So give them a mechanical arm, give them a mechanical head, or do some texturing to make it look like their eyes are gleaming, or make them a bit scary and show them the gums of their teeth.
It's like steampunk.
Oh, yeah.
Not really.
It's cyberpunk.
I say more futuristic. I've seen it. The lower half was all robotic, but
Correct. You can skip the legs completely. Give them spider legs.
maybe yeah.
But mechanical spider legs, make it sci-fi.
I mean, he was only rotating like I think around only one. I think he was only rotating an angle. Because the only reason why he would turn is to just get drinks in the back and just face the customer. But you could add that as well. I think that would be really good as well, and maybe put some detail around them, or you can make it a broken down robot, and you can actually see the little bits of electrical sparks around him, and make him like run down.
So so you're gonna have this in recording for my suggestions, right? When it comes to service type characters in video games, and then renders especially, you can go and look at different punk ideas. So there's steampunk, so that's BioShock, that's the game you're going for. Cyberpunk, you can go for The Lies of P is steampunk as well. Cyberpunk, you go for the game Cyberpunk. There's also diesel punk, which is that during the World War period, what would happen if everybody went on diesel, and then everybody is World War military uniforms, stuff like that. And then there's solar punk, which is set in the future where everything is in solar energy, and they all have distinctive styles, with solar punk having more of like nature and vegetation coming through. And also, this is a guy in a game called The Outer Worlds, and he has a moon for a head. Please consider him as one of your choices. Thank you very much. I'm done here. Please continue.
I need like someone else to record while I get the things on my phone because I don't have my questions on the thing. So